Welcome to the brand new Meet the Maker series from the Farnborough Craft Guild. My name is Nicole Hellier from Urban Tales Pet Accessories, and I'm here today meeting with Bob to find out more about wood turning. As we watch him do his stuff, he could just talk us through what is happening, if that's alright. First off, I think it would be good to talk about the safety equipment. So there's some specifics that you are obviously wearing.
It's a fairly high-risk hobby. Any rotating machinery is inherently hazardous. You mustn't have any loose clothing or long hair or anything that can be caught in the rotating wood or tools. The other main hazard is dust. So it's essential that you wear a dust mask or a filtering head shield.
I'm guessing it can be quite dangerous if you do inhale the wood dust after a while.
There's plenty of evidence from wood turners who didn't bother. They become seriously ill from long-term exposure to wood dust. And some of the equipment is expensive, but you don't really want to take any chances with your health.
Definitely not.
So you need either a face mask or a filtering head mask. You definitely need a dust extraction system so that you're removing as much of the dust from the air at source and not breathing it in. The other, probably less important, but you need to protect your hands, really. If you look at the average wood turner's hands, they are quite a mess.
Oh dear. You're not looking too bad though. I can see you're not doing too badly.
No. Yeah, and in the workshop there are other rotating tools besides the lathe. There's a pillar drill and a bandsaw and a sanding station, and all of those involve rotating things. You really need to be careful and follow the manufacturer's instructions.
So what are we making today?
We're going to be making a Spurtel. We're going to be using reclaimed wood from a 40-year-old nest of tables that's no longer required.
But that's proper wood there.
It's real wood.
It's not that nasty stuff.
It's real wood, similar to mahogany. So we're going to be making a Spurtel, which is a Scottish porridge stirring stick, apparently in use in Scotland since the 15th century.
Wow.
And if you stir your porridge correctly with a Spurtel, you will never get lumps, according to legend.
Better get testing out my Spurtel then. So you've obviously popped the piece of wood onto the lathe, and I've noticed as you're doing the turning itself, you have a special way of using your tools. So what firstly is the tool that you're using, and then how are you using it? Because you kind of do it in a specific bending, as it were, when you're doing it, which is really interesting from someone who's never done this kind of thing before.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a name for the special bending.
It's difficult to describe, isn't it?
I don't think there is, but I like to use a sort of it's called a universal scraping tool. I have a variety of tools, but my favourite is this universal scraping tool, which basically just cuts a narrow, maybe 1/4 of an inch wide cut on the wood as it turns. And starting off with a rough piece of wood, you have to make it round first, and you generally use a low speed to get it round. And then, as it becomes round and more balanced, then you can increase the speed of the lathe to get a faster, better cut. Once you've got the shape right, and you're round, and you're happy overall, then you can start to add some of the detailed cuts, like the ornamental grooves that are either side of the grip. These grooves, and to get the shape of the thistle head on the Spurtel, something like that.
It's really interesting as well. Whilst you were making the cut, I was worried that, knowing me, I'm pretty accident prone, I would probably have got to the point where it would snap because I've got a bit carried away. So how is it that you kind of identify the way that the wood is turning, and at what point do you have to start worrying that you're getting a bit carried away?
Yeah, it's experience.
Yeah.
It's down to the nature of the wood, how strong it is, how evenly it's cutting as it spins, It's actually surprising how thin you can take a piece of wood down before it will break away. Yeah, but primarily experience and knowledge of the wood. See, this piece of wood I'm holding, you could easily take it down to half that dimension and it would still be stable. But as I say, the thinner you go, the wood in the middle will start to vibrate because it's flexing.
And that's when you start to get the notches where you're cutting it.
Yes, you do. You get a vibration in a certain pattern, and you'll see that in the finish of the wood.
So once you've done all of that stuff, you then have started to sand down to get the better quality of feel to it. So that kind of nice, smooth finish that you're after.
Yes, absolutely. Depending on how good a cut you've achieved with your metal tools, you'll start sanding. Generally, you're going to work from something like a 120 grade grit of sandpaper, which is coarse, and then gradually, as you've removed all of the little discrepancies in the wood, you go to the next grade of sandpaper and typically finish on a 400 grit or a 600 grit. Sometimes go a little bit higher, but not usually. So then when you've done the sanding, clean the piece off with a cloth to collect the dust before applying a sanding sealer finish. The sanding sealer is a bit like a primer. It gives you the base for any other finish that you would like to put on it. The Spurtel, as it's going to be in contact with food, would use something called a food-safe finish. But we'll put 2 layers of that. And then leave it at that.
Yeah.
Other things like bowls and clock faces and so on, you go on to do further stages of embellishment. So you can put wax or wax with microcrystal in it to polish it or add some extra colour or even to put some colour into the open grain.
Oh wow, that sounds beautiful. So there's lots of other things that can happen.
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting. Thank you so much for allowing me to come into your workshop and record you, and
you're welcome.
I'm hoping to come back soon.